I recently posted a video that Ecclesiastes points to the God of Spinoza. And someone posted a question asking if it appeared anywhere else in the Bible like that. And I said, you know what, I want to make a video for you on this because it does, but you really have to think it through. It's not as easy as just reading it and looking at it. You have to process some information in order to get there. And but before I could make the video, I went today to go ahead and collect his comment and respond to it, and he deleted it. So I think that that's okay. I want to go ahead and address it anyway. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. Well, this is what I want to say, that Spinoza didn't discover anything new. This is what I want to say. If you think of this, it's going to sound convoluted at first. Let me untwist it, though. The God of Spinoza was being taught by the Babylonians. It was actually being taught by the Sumerians, the Gilgamesh story and all of that, except that that is too fragmentary to really examine closely. When we get into the seven clay tablets of creation that were discovered at the archaeological site of Nineveh, then we find that the seven tablets of creation, the Babylonian Enuma Elish, is nearly complete, and it's a very good example of the God of Spinoza right off the bat. However, it's encoded. Everybody knows that God is, at a deep level, everybody around the world knows that God is not a capricious entity out there, that there is a creative force that we come from and we return to, but that we access it through our minds and through our thoughts, not by outward looking. However, humans have different brain types and different requirements. This is super critical, and it's why people can't see this, and only certain people can. If you have the brain type that's going to understand what's going on, we emerge from a place, we live life, and we return to that place. However, most people can't live with that understanding. They're going to want something different. So what has happened then is that the God of Spinoza, and that's not true. Spinoza simply is rediscovering and putting into plain language what everybody else already knows. I will tell you, if you understand how to read this stuff, you will find it's in Hinduism, it's in all Chinese material, Tibetan material, it is in Jewish, Christian, it is all over the place. Okay, this man of 1,000 faces, hero with 1,000 faces. That's it. That's what we're looking at here. There's a template that is in play. Now, what has happened is that this God that you turn inward to, what happened is it got morphed. The God of Abraham is a morphed, chopped down version of the God of Spinoza. It simply tells people to pray, to worship, and to look out to space where you can't even see anymore and spend your life doing that. It takes the responsibility of healing out of their hands and just gives them something to live life with. Meanwhile, the inward path is for healing and for those who find it. Now, I understand that these are going to sound like just blatant claims. How do you get that? You have to understand how the material works in order to see that for yourself. But the gods they're on this template. They're all morphed versions of, I don't want to say the God of Spinoza, but people know it is that. Let's look at a couple of things real quick. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to read this. All right, let's take a look at what this existence is without the term God, and let's go to an Abraham baggage-free zone over here. This is the Tao Te Ching, Stephen Mitchell translation. This is Chinese, about 500 years previous to Jesus, roughly contemporaneous with the Buddha. And this is a very small core teaching. Just these are mental instructions, but they're very old and they're cryptic. You treat these as if you just walked up to him and said, Master, my life sucks. Please help me. I need to understand. What do I do? Treat it like this. Treat that right there. This is your master. This is the guru. And he says right off to us, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Now, these are purposefully cryptic, and you're going to find a lot of people interpreting them in different ways. I'm going to be using a universal translation technique, or interpretation technique, rather, where all of these play out in the mind and the psyche, and you examine these words. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. What is the Tao? It's the flow, it's the path, it's this way of life. Told is something verbal. Eternal is forever. Tao it is, again, the name. So the Tao, the way that can be verbalized, is not the permanent way. You know what this is mental. What does it mean? We want the eternal way. What do? The way that is verbal is not the eternal way. We want the eternal way. What do we have to do? We have to change the verbal. The Tao that is verbal is not the eternal Tao. The Tao that is experienced is the eternal Tao. What we need to do is make it ours. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. This is about us. This is every human's life. Guru, what's my life about? What's he telling me? First of all, it's your personal path, and that the name that can be named is not the eternal name. Let's move on and here, let's put a few more verses together and we'll see what that means. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Remember now, this is mental. Always treat this like a mental path. Naming. Naming what? I'm not naming anything in the world. This isn't physical. It's mental. What is getting named in my head? These are my memories. Another translation says the named is the mother of 10,000 things. This is going to become our bundle of memories. The unnameable is the eternally real. Judge not. We want to be poor in spirit. This is a place of poor in spirit or emptiness. The unnameable is the eternally real. We have not yet experienced life. We've emerged from here. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. This is the desire of what we're clinging on to. This is not physical desire. This is the things that we're holding on to, unresolved memories. You may hate it. You may go, God, that happened, and there's no way I'm going to deal with it, and I don't desire it. You got to change the word. It's not desire. You hanging on to it? Why aren't you letting it go? Why aren't you resolving it? Maybe you don't consciously desire it, but you're not letting it go. So, free from the things that you've judged, you realize the mystery of life. Caught in them, you see only their manifestations. The things that you have left unresolved are going to continue to act out in your life cyclically. Manifestations. Manifestations. Cyclical. That's over and over. Yet mystery and manifestation come from the same source. There we're getting from. What is that source? What is that source? That's God right there. Yet mystery and manifestation come from the same source. Yet the good and bad experiences in life come from the same place based on what you have named. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. That is where we need to turn into, the gateway, mental. Translate, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The Tao that is experienced is the eternal Tao. That means when you're listening to a preacher, that's the blind leading the blind. Or if you're preaching, you're the blind leading the blind. The path that is personally experienced is the eternal path. That's why you can't prove this to anybody. You prove it to yourself. The material is the authority, not any human. Your comprehension of the material and experiencing the eternal path where you're going to your memories. This implies it's a mental process existing with the collection of one's own memories and emotions. Only you can take your path. It's in your mind. Nobody can take your path to make you feel better, can they? Anybody who tells you otherwise is full of it. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Leave experiences unjudged. Don't cling on to things. Being void is the unnameable is the eternally real. Being void of judgments is what is real to live through. Poor in spirit is what we seek. Buddha's emptiness. What is spirit? It's what we live through. The odd against our brother, same thing. Naming is the origin of all particular things. My experiences become a continual part of me in the manner I hold them. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh. We live through our agreements. That's the same thing. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh. That is about us. In the beginning, I decided something, and then it began to manifest. In the beginning, I named something, and then caught in that, I continue to see the manifestations. Same thing. Once you understand the analogous nature of the teaching and how to read them, you see that they are the same thing. All right, what I want to do is stop right here and just talk about that for a little bit. So what we have right here in a very simple core teaching, this is not Taoism. This is the core teaching of the master. Here's the basic core right here. And from this basic core, all Taoism emerges. So basically what we're looking at here is the universal teaching. This is the same teaching is going to appear in all other religions. However, it's going to sound radically different. If we went to the Buddha's Dhammapada or Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, we're going to find this exact same teaching right here. but it's going to be worded in radically different verbiage that has to be interpreted. But I'm always going to use this exact same, like I said, there's a universal interpretation process where it always becomes something that plays out in your mind, and it's an analog. My city needs to be destroyed. My world needs to be destroyed. Things of that nature. My garden is infested with weeds. All of those are analogous representations of the idea that my head is clogged with stuff. I've got aught against my brother. I've got a mote in my eye. All of those are the same thing. They're talking about the pile of judgments that we have. This is universal. I want to take a look at that real quick. People that say Buddhism is correct, Taoism is correct, Christianity is correct. If you knew the universal nature of it, you would know that there's something nested in all of them that is not the religion itself. There is something in there that is universal to them. It's a core human template. Okay, we have the Buddha here. All that we are is a result of what we have thought. It's founded on our thoughts. It's made up of our thoughts. If a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him, as the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. Okay, so it's a mental process. All that we are is a result of what we have thought. It's founded on thought. It's made up of our thoughts. Let's change that to memories. All that we are is a result of what we have judged. It is founded on judgments. And made up of our judgments. And those are the things that we hold as memories, resolved and unresolved memories, judgments. All that we are is a result of what we have experienced. It's founded on our memories. It's made up of our memories. Okay. All right, so if a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him as the wheel follows the ox that draws the carriage. We got a wheel there. That's a cycle. Pain, wheel, cycle of pain right there. Man is any consciousness. It's not just about man or woman. If any human speaks or acts with an evil thought, what have we done, judged here? We have something that is unresolved. It might not be something that you did. It might be something that happened to you. You might be a victim and you hate it so much you're holding it there. Well, what happens? Pain follows you as the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. We put ourselves into the story. That means we are the ox that draws the carriage. That's us moving through life. And that cyclical pain follows us as we move through life. And it's based in our memories. Okay? When we get into the second one, it starts the same way. This is a dual verse. It's also showing duality. All that we are is a result of what we have thought. It's founded on thoughts. It's made up of our thoughts. So same thing, our bundle of memories right there. If a man speaks or acts with pure thought, so we've resolved all that stuff, emptied out, happiness follows like a shadow that never leaves. Happiness follows him like a shadow that never leaves. Okay, so that means we have resolved all the issues and now things are okay. So we get into the Tao Te Ching. Remember, we just covered this. The Tao that's told is not the eternal Tao. It's mental. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Pure thought. The unnameable is the eternally real. Pure thought. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. So free from desire, you realize the mystery is pure thought. Happiness follows like a shadow that never leaves. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Pain follows like the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. The evil thought. So those are the same right there, but they're held in just different puzzle verbiage. We get into the Gospel of Matthew. Judge not, that ye not be judged. This is not judging outwardly. This is not judging other people. This is the judgments you hold. Don't develop memories, or you're going to experience them. The unnameable is the eternally real from up here, or from Lao Tzu, or pure thought. Judge not, that ye not be judged. That way it won't experience back. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Pain follows like the wheel follows the hood of the ox that draws the carriage. That ye not be judged. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged, and with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again. So we have the cyclical return again, held in a different way. In this case, in religious and Abrahamic material, it's intended to create a religion that guides a population if they don't understand it. Up here, with Buddha and Lao Tzu, they also have ways of life. All right, so the reason I go here with this is that it's complicated to see how the verbiage is holding the story, but it's important to show that they are indeed universal, that there is a common core teaching in all of them. And that's what we're looking for. We're not looking at the Christian, we're not looking at the Buddha, we're not looking at the Taoist. We're looking at the meaning of the interpreted word when it comes down to understanding that they are mentally interactive and they're analogous verbiage that are somehow held in the mind that we have to figure out how they work. And if you look at them long enough, you realize what they're doing. You see the cyclical pain element held in stories. Remember, this is a time, look at our media today. How do you live? Imagine back then, and there is no media. These stories and puzzles would be really what to live through. But they're very meaningful. In fact, think of it this way as you're reading these verses from all over, whether they're of a religious genre or a spiritual inward-turning genre. The Taoist and Buddhist material tell you right off, turn inward. Yeah, turn inward. Don't even bother with that outer stuff. The outer stuff is carrier for those who won't turn inward, but they're making sure it's getting disseminated. The inner path is still there, but it's pretty difficult to access it. Okay, treat everything that you read in the Bible as if it's like an Aesop's fable. You don't treat it like it's true or false. If you're reading it as a Christian going, that's a true thing, that really happened, that's like reading an Aesop's fable and say, yeah, the tortoise really won that race for those reasons right there. You're not getting that there's something nested in there. And if you're denying it, you don't know that there's something nested in there either. So as you're reading the material, you have to treat it that way. However, the rules are always the same. They're about the mind and they're about the human life. They're not about, just general, if you work hard and play hard, you'll have a good life. They're not general like that. They're very much, you've made a mental decision about something that you're holding. And as a result of that, continual pain is happening that's following you in life. And that this bundle of memories is what you're going to become. And if you want to resolve that, you clear it all out. You see that happening. But when you go to Buddhism and Taoism, there is no God that is making this happen. It's something different. It's darkness within darkness. Both mystery and manifestation come from the same source. There's something that we emerge from, a void, an emptiness, a Tao, a place that we come from, and when we die, we go back there. But the pathway to our course, to our destination, is always where we came from. We came from a mental space, and we're returning to a mental space. But we live life, most people, looking outward, not realizing this is where we have to turn to understand life. In fact, the very idea of turning to God or sitting at the right hand of God is a mental space. Let's do this for a minute. I've done this in other videos. I'll just have to repeat it because that's what's here. There's a mind space that we can all get to. It's probably most easily to spot at the 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, wake up, turmoil, tossing, turning, can't get back to sleep. You've got this internal dialogue going on that's just got you it's a tizzy. Can't get, this raucousness, this mental conflict that we develop over time that continually gets bigger and bigger comes from our perceptions, our unresolved issues, unresolved memories, or things that we have to do. You might have a situation you're in currently that has got you racked, a work situation or a home situation that is just, you might have to get out of a situation. That's what the turmoil comes from, unresolved perception. It's raucous. So what happens then is that there's another voice that comes in unsolicited from time to time, and we need to recognize this voice. This is God talking to us, okay, in the material. And when it talks, it says something like, you just go to sleep. There's nothing you can do tonight. It's a voice of reason somehow. But if you stop and pay attention, and if you try to, when that's engaging, don't let it go. Stay with it. Stay with that voice when it's talking to you. And you will notice right away that you're disconnected from the emotions of those memories when that is there. You are now sitting at the seat, at the right hand of God, right there in the material. If you slip back into the memories, you're back in life. You're back into the turmoil. What's important to know is that this awareness right here comes from an inner mental space. And when we connect with it, When we sit there, we're not living through our memories. We're living through our higher self. And out here, this is God. That's when they say pure awareness. You can sit there, you get to that point, and you can just be aware. But if you're in the right space, there should be mental quietude right there. You shouldn't be thinking even of, daydreaming of other things. The goal in meditation is to achieve this state. You're watching your breath come, you're watching your breath go. What you're doing is trying to get to a space in your mind where you're not living through the mental experiences. And the mind grows and develops. So the more you practice that, the better you get at it. And what's important, and if you don't practice meditation throughout the day, what you can do is practice awareness where you're going, oh, I'm slipping into my memories. I've got to get back to my higher awareness. Now you know what it is. You don't have to wait till nighttime for it to be there. You can go to it any time. You could just go throughout the day going, I'm going to disconnect from that feeling right there. I'm going to be my higher self. I'm going to look at it from the higher perspective. This is who we really are as we're trying to live life physically, but we want to emerge above the memories. All right, so going to the Babylonian creation myth, the Enuma Elish, Tablet 1, Timothy J. Stephanie translation. Now, what I want to say is that this is you, or it's me, it's anybody. This is a human life cycle. Whether you're aware of it or not, this is made to replicate the human life cycle. Right here, Apsu, this is our higher awareness in the beginning. And I want to point out something to begin with. Right down here where I've got it highlighted, there were no names to be spoken and no fates pronounced. What I've done here is imported the parallel that we just read from Lao Tzu. There were no names to be spoken. The unnameable is the eternally real. And no fates pronounced. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. So nothing had been, your mind had not been making decisions yet, so you had no destiny set in life. Right here, the unnameable is the eternally real, and free from naming anything, you realize the mystery of life. So you see the parallels there, but they can be tricky to find. They actually sound a lot different from one another if you're reading it as a block, but when you read them in detail, you start isolating little bits and pieces that you go, wait a minute, that sounds like something I read elsewhere that isn't in a story format like this. These are the commonly shared motifs that emerge and that need to be taught. If you went to the guru and asked him what life was about, it's up to you to figure out that you're a product of your life experiences and the way that you're judging them. And if you're the right person, you're going to find a way to let go of those and to resolve them and to become a person elevated or enlightened above those so that they cease to cycle. Okay, back here, at a time when even the glories above had yet to be named and unuttered was the word for the world which lay beneath. This is describing us, really, not a source. It was then that their first being Apsu, who was their source, and the progenitor Tiamat, the mother who gave birth to all, that's the inner self, intermingled their waters, producing neither field nor marsh, at a time when no divine beings had yet come into existence. So we had no inner qualities yet. We had not had life experiences. There were no names to be spoken and no fates pronounced. We're just pure state. But the gods were given birth within those intermixing waves. The first were Lamu and Lahamu. That would be equivalent to Adam and Eve. Lamu and Lahamu, male and female version of the same individual. Their names were spoken. But once they had fully grown and become mature of form. So it goes on. What I want to point out is something else right here. That generation of gods would gather together for wild revels. Okay, so now understand something. Tiamat is your inner self. The generation of gods are all of the conflicted decisions and unresolved issues that we have. And Aruna, when we get down here, the meeting place of the gods, that's the mind. All right, let's read this. This is happening in the head. That generation of gods would gather together for wild revels. So they proved bothersome for Tiamat, the inner self. Their hullabaloo echoed. All this commotion proved unsettling to Tiamat's inner being, and she was bothered by all of their activity within Andaruna. The mind won't settle down, and there was nothing Apsu could do to mitigate their carousing, and there was nothing Tiamat would say to quiet them down, and no matter how troublesome their conduct became to her, regardless of how rowdy things were, she just put up with it. That's our early life. We're just letting it go. We're not resolving it. What happens down here? I have been very troubled by the manner of their conduct, so that I could not relax during the day, nor sleep well at night. See that one? This one's a special one because this right here comes from Ecclesiastes. For all their days are full of pain, and their work is a vexation. Even at night their minds do not rest. This is also vanity. All their days are full of pain, and I have been troubled by the manner of their conduct during the day. And their days are full of pain. Their work is a vexation, troubled by the manner of their conduct. Vexation, manner of conduct. Even at night their minds do not rest, so that I could not relax during the day nor sleep well at night. This is vanity. This is insanity. All right. All right, so what I want to point out here is that when you find parallels like that, you understand something, that there's something in common. And if they're sharing all of that, they're sharing the one God. They're just not describing it the same way for the general population. So I think we have a difficult time becoming mentally disconnected from our conception of the God of Abraham. We know what we're told and we know what we're taught. I went to church as a little kid and I had very fixed ideas about this, judgmental, gray-headed, gray-bearded, long-haired, robed, sandaled big guy sitting behind the pearly gates writing down who's naughty or nice. Yeah, those stories somehow get blended, don't they? Well, if you look at humanity, they need a God like that. However, that's not the real God. Even in Abrahamic material, you can see that they are utilizing what other people are utilizing as far as the story format and how they're hiding the idea of an inward path. That if you don't find the inward path, you've got an outward path. But what is that outward path? Jesus tells, what is it? I'm going to blend a bunch of stuff together. You got to enter the narrow gate, single. There's that gate. You have to understand that there's one single solitary road that leads to the kingdom of heaven within, and that outside the narrow gate are many roads that lead to destruction. So if you look at it, you see all of the religions looking outward, all those roads leading to destruction, while meanwhile, in any case, there's one road that leads inward that is the right path. So the material is constantly cryptically telling on itself. If you know how to read it, it's like, here I am. So then what is the real God then? The way we access it, it looks like to me the best way we can do it is to sit with God in that manner where you're sitting there in that mental quietude. And you can get there and realize this is who I really am. And I can live life from up here instead of through those memories. And even if I'm not living from here because I'm doing things with people, they're all fun and happy because I've got all these things resolved now. There's things that have been used to bother me that don't bother me anymore. So my life has improved, life has changed, relationships change, the experiences change. Your Father who sees in secret rewards you in secret if you remove the ought against your brother. Clear the mote out of your eye. It's the bundle of memories. How else do you get poor in spirit? Why would you want to? That's it. So to be honest, when you're interacting with the material, God is that higher awareness right there. Yet the material somehow alludes to us emerging from the background. And when we die, we go there. But when they're going through the material and talking about, death and birth, it's spiritual death and birth. You have to ensure, and spiritual means what? That means mental healing or not. If I've had a lot of experiences and I feel bad, I'm rich. I'm full of things. I don't want that. I want to be poor. I want to be devoid of. It's weird the way that the analogs work. It sounds the opposite of what you would want in the world. I don't want anything. Where in the world it's like, well, I need things. I do want some stuff, and that's okay to have stuff. But when you put it up here, it's like, okay, now that's where you don't want to accumulate things. This stuff keeps acting out. It doesn't go away. It's energy based. Pull up the memory. How does it feel? That's what you're living through. All right, remember Lao Tzu said, yet mystery and manifestation. Remember, that's the mystery of life, the yay, or the manifestation, the repeated pain. The good and the bad come from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. That's where we got to go find God. How come good and bad keep coming from the same source? When life goes on and you're living life and you're not in those experiences anymore and those people aren't around anymore and you've moved past, how come they still are hurting? Who's in charge back there? Who's making them continue? Who's giving them energy to repeat, to cycle again and again? What the hell is back there? All right, and here is its Genesis parallel as it's talking. It's in a story format. It's doing it in a lot more complicated way. You are Abram and Sarai. What are we being told? And I will bless them that bless you and curse those that curse you. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. So what we have there is, yet mystery and manifestation come from the same source. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. Good and bad, it all comes from the same source. So, who's the God back there? You see the same thing happening whether you believe it's the God of Abraham or not. It doesn't matter. The God of Abraham is simply an analogous term. God is an analog. Okay, so it looks to me like God would be pure awareness, something that doesn't make choices. It's where we come from. And when you get to that place mentally where you sit there without the mental dialogue going on, but you're like, yeah, okay. I'm just sitting here being at peace. You don't live that way. I mean, you want to go do fun stuff. You want to deal with the negative stuff when it comes up. That's the trick of it. What are we doing? How are we flowing in life? Are we controlling it, or has it created what we are? It starts out creating what we are, then we try to regain control of it. So the process here is understanding that God is something that we're talking with, but we're not actually the God. We're sitting with God. We're sitting with that pure awareness. That right there, that's the God of Spinoza. That right there is the God of the Babylonians, the God of the Jews, the God of the Christians, the God of the Muslims. However, they all, in their own religions, redefine God as something that is mentally outward-looking, not inward-looking. It takes that very inward path, turns it outward, and encodes it in such a way that you have to know how to navigate it. You can't pass along the truth. It won't go. You need a population that has something to hang on to. You got religions. They're going to be local. Few things scream evolution like religions. So God is something out there, though, that as you go on in life, what happens is we continue to have these experiences because life cycles. Life is full of energy that's just we're rolling along with it. And it gives us whatever, it just gives you energy. We get energy all the time for life. We're using it in a manner, unbeknownst to us, that is being filtered through our judgments. The energy of our judgments, the way that we're holding them in our brain and the emotional state of them creates filtering that causes us to see life continuously with those same judgments in place. So we're going to see cyclical things that continually bother us because we're hanging on to things. And we're going to see good stuff and bad stuff all come from the same place. It doesn't matter what is happening. There's a cause and effect in action. And we need to know that if you don't resolve these things, you're going to continue to experience the things. So it's incredibly important to know that God is out here saying, you know what? I'm here. You got all the energy you want. I don't know what you want. I don't even think. I just give you energy. I'm quantum. You decide with your emotions what it's going to be. And you come from a place that might be very hurtful. Yeah, I get that. But you have to figure out how to get past it. You come from where you come from. And the energy for you to continue to have good and bad experiences coming from somewhere in an energy place out there, that's the God. What is out there? You don't have dialogue with it. It's just pure energy. And it's what continually drives us based on our perceptions that keeps us up at night, tossing and turning because of all of their activity in Andaruna. Okay, those are my thoughts on it. I think that it's not easy to see that you have to really look at a lot of things and interpret it and think it through and reason it through. And also, you have to be able to engage with the material on the path. This is not unusual. You might be hearing it and thinking, that sounds weird. If you listen to Eckhart Tolle talk about his enlightenment, he talks about long ago, having that mental dialogue at night, thinking, I can't even live with myself. He was considering thoughts of suicide. And but as he went in there and was talking, or he began somehow realizing that he had that mental dialogue. Who is it that can't live with myself? If I'm in here, are there two people? I don't get it. And he began to realize, okay, I'm living through my memories, and I'm not that. I'm above the memories. That's exactly what this is. It's nothing new. It's been done since antiquity, but it's really hidden in religions. It's a mental process, and we're so busy today we can't extract it from there. Anyway, okay, I hope that answers the question. It's not easy. This stuff is old and it's thick and it's deep, so it doesn't quite fit today's demands. Cover it in 30 seconds or you're out of here. Yeah, it ain't gonna work. All right, those are my thoughts. Take care.